Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to today's meeting of the Assembly Committee on Growth and Infrastructure. Would the committee secretary please call the roll?
Assembly members Backus, Brown May, Carter,
Present.
Dickman, Gallant, Gurr, Karas, Moore, Wynn, Urick, Chair Watts.
And I am here. We do have a quorum. It is that time where folks are presenting bills over in the Senate. So please mark folks present as they arrive, and if they don't make it, you can mark them absent excused. We have 3 bills on our agenda today. For everyone's information, I will be taking those bills out of order. We'll be hearing SB 442, then SB 315, and then finally SB 416. A few housekeeping notes before we get started. Please silence your electronic devices. If you're planning to speak today, please sign in at the table in the back. If you would like to provide testimony by phone or public comment by phone, you can do so by calling 888-475-4499, and when prompted, enter the meeting ID 856-07-865617, and then press the pound sign. You can find that information on our agenda, which is posted on the Nevada Legislature's website. When speaking, please be sure to turn on the microphone before you begin. State your name for the record every time before you speak, and turn off the microphone once you finished so that we can minimize any background noise or interference. So, I think with all that out of the way, we'll begin our bill hearings. I will open the hearing now on Senate Bill 442, which requires the Public Utilities Commission of Nevada to establish certain reporting requirements. I'll welcome the presenters to the table. Welcome back, Senator Scheibel. Long time no see.
May I begin? Thank you so much. For the record, my name is Melanie Scheibel. I'm the state senator for District 9. It is wonderful to be back in front of the Growth and Infrastructure Committee. I'm presenting to you SB 442 today alongside Olivia Tanager from the Sierra Club. SB 442 is intended to help nonprofit organizations and other agencies that provide support to Nevadans who are facing the shutoff of their utilities by ensuring that the utilities provide quarterly reporting on where shutoffs are occurring within the state of Nevada. And with that, I will turn it over to Ms. Tanager with your permission, Chair.
Thank you, Chair and members of the committee. My name is Olivia Tanager. For the record, I'm the director of the Sierra Club Toyabe chapter. I appreciate the opportunity to present this important piece of legislation before you today. The bill before you, SB 442, seeks to address a growing concern: energy insecurity. As we continue to see rising utility costs associated with more extreme weather and an increasing number of households facing financial difficulties, it is vital that we have the data we need to understand the full scope of this issue and take informed, meaningful action. Each year, thousands of families in our state experience disconnection of their utilities due to non-payment. These disconnections can have severe consequences, not only leaving individuals and families without essential services like electricity and heating, but also contributing to broader economic and social instability. However, the current reporting practices for these disconnections is insufficient. Many utilities report disconnection statistics only at the aggregate level without breaking them down regularly by specific factors that could highlight vulnerable communities or systemic issues. Without this granular data, it is difficult to understand the full extent of energy insecurity in our state and identify targeted solutions for those most in need of support. So, this bill requires all public utilities to publicly report the number of monthly disconnections due to non-payment. The data must be broken down by zip code, providing a more detailed understanding of which communities are most affected by disconnections. The data will be available in a publicly accessible format, allowing local governments, advocacy groups, and concerned citizens to track trends and advocate for policy changes as necessary. Of the 50 states in Washington, D.C., 26 have at one point instituted reporting on utility disconnections due to non-payment. Nevada has not. If the committee has any questions about what language looks like in other states, I'm happy to share that information with you, but for the sake of brevity, I will mention that it varies from state to state, but the bones of what is required in other states is found in our proposed bill here. Data aggregated by month that includes number of disconnections and the associated zip codes. So we do have some information on the level of current disconnections, and I think the information that we do have highlights the need for better disconnection reporting. Through the Public Utilities Commission, every April we get reports on the number of disconnections per zip code in the previous year. It is estimated that nationally 1% of households experience energy disconnections annually. Based on the information we do have available, I calculated that the disconnections in 89502, which is the zip code that I live in, were at around 5% disconnections of those who live in the zip code, highlighting a significantly above average percentage of disconnections. Just to break it down, in 89502, in 2019, there were 28 disconnections in my zip code. In 2022, there were 626 disconnections. And in 2024, there were 911 disconnections. But when I look at this data that we do have as an advocate for folks to keep their lights on, I have a lot of questions that are left unanswered. Now, SB 442 wouldn't help us answer all of those questions, but it might help us start asking better questions about how to collaboratively solve what is evidently a huge problem impacting folks in our state. What months did most of those disconnections occur? When do folks need information about services that exist to get assistance in keeping their lights on? How do communities in northern Nevada fare in the winter? How do communities in southern Nevada fare in the summer? How effective were federal monies and other programs designed to help weatherize homes and help folks keep their lights on? And again, which questions are we not able to ask and not able to answer because we have such limited information? Something that happened recently that I did want to highlight that I think really highlights the need for this bill, the folks who administer the LIHEAP program, which is the Low Income Energy Assistance Program at the federal level, which is one of the biggest pots of money that we have for folks who need assistance. All of those folks were unfortunately terminated. I'm not sure if they've been reinstated yet or not, but unfortunately it looks like that federal program is under attack. And therefore, it's going to be even more imperative that we have all the information that we need at the state level, knowing which zip codes are being most impacted, when people are being impacted, so that with the resources that we do have, we can ensure that they're used efficiently and driven to the neighborhoods that most need them. In closing, this bill is an essential step toward building a more equitable, transparent, and compassionate approach to managing utility services. It empowers communities, protects vulnerable populations, and provides policymakers with the data they need to act decisively and combat energy insecurity. I urge you all to support SB 442. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much for the presentation. Members, any questions for the presenters? All right, seeing none, thank you very much. We questioned Senator Scheibel enough on Tuesday, it seems. All right, we'll now move on to testimony. We'll begin with testimony in support of Senate Bill 442. Anyone wishing to provide testimony in support here in Carson City, please come forward. See, we have 3 folks coming up. As folks leave those seats, anyone else wishing to testify in support, please come forward and fill those. See no one coming forward in Las Vegas at this time. Please go ahead whenever you're ready.
Good afternoon, Chair Watts, members of the committee. Michael Morton, Special Assistant Attorney General with the Attorney General's Office, here today on behalf of our Bureau of Consumer Protection in full support of Senate Bill 442. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Chair and members of the committee. My name is Hector Arreola, and I am the Policy Fellow with the Nevada Environmental Justice Coalition, and we are here in full support of Senate Bill 442. When individuals lose access to utility services, their lives are put at serious risk. Yet without accurate and comprehensive data, we can't know who is being affected the most, nor can we take meaningful steps to address this issue. This is why accurate, transparent data collection is not just important, it is vital in making informed decisions. It allows lawmakers to understand the scope of the problem and take targeted action to protect our most vulnerable populations. This bill is fundamentally about transparency, but more importantly, it's about helping saving lives. If we fail to measure the problem, we fail to protect our community. Thank you for your time.
Good afternoon, Chair Watson, committee members. My name is Caitlin Gutchinyan, and I'm the Nevada representative for Southwest Energy Efficiency Project. I appreciate the opportunity to submit testimony in strong support of SB 442, which would establish mandatory disconnection reporting requirements for the utilities in Nevada. Transparency in utility disconnection is essential for understanding the impact of energy insecurity on households and for crafting effective policies to address it. The sweep region consists of several western states that have made strides in requiring utility to report disconnection data. However, Nevada remains to be one of the only states in the region with no publicly available data. By contrast, other states in the sweep region have some level of reporting, including Colorado, Arizona, Utah, and New Mexico. In this landscape, Nevada stands out, not for its transparency, but for the complete absence of publicly accessible data. The passage of SB 442 would rectify this issue and ensure that Nevada does not lag behind its counterparts. Utility disconnection represents more than just numbers. They are real households struggling to keep the lights on, facing health risks in extreme temperatures, and falling into cycles of financial hardship. Without data, there is no clear understanding of how widespread the issue is in Nevada or how it compares to neighboring states. SB 442 is a common sense measure that promotes transparency, accountability, and informed decision-making. I urge the committee to support this bill and bring Nevada in line with the reporting standards already established in other states. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Hello, Chair Watts and members of the committee. My name is Jamarion Williams. I'm the Government Affairs Manager for Western Resource Advocates. Western Resource Advocates is a regional nonprofit advocacy organization fighting to protect the lands, air, and water resources. I am here today to voice our strong support for Assembly Bill 442, primarily due to the reason that it increases transparency. Thank you.
Thank you. Seeing no one else coming forward at this time, seeing no one coming forward in Las Vegas, AVH, would anyone like to provide testimony in support of Senate Bill 442 by phone?
To testify in support of Senate Bill 442, please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue. Caller with the last 3 digits, 477, please press star 6 to unmute.
Good afternoon, Chair Watson, members of the committee. My name is Joe Montelongo, for the record, Jomontelongo. Today, I am calling in on behalf of Native Voters Alliance Nevada in support of SB 442. Disconnections don't happen in a vacuum. They hit hardest in the same communities we already know are struggling. Working class families, elders on fixed incomes, single parents trying to stretch every dollar. But right now, there's no clear, consistent way to track where these shutoffs are happening or how often. By requiring utilities to report the number of disconnections and the zip codes of those impacted, and by making that information public, we empower communities to finally see the full picture. This isn't about blame, it's about the truth. And the truth should never be hidden behind utility billing cycles and/or closed-door data. This bill gives residents, advocates, and decision makers the tools they need to understand where harm is happening and act on it. Transparency is how we protect people, data is how we organize, and sunlight is how we hold systems accountable. If we want a Nevada where no one is left in the dark, literally or politically, then SB 442 is how you start. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Chair Watts and members of the committee. My name is Tristan St. Dennis, and I am the Policy Associate for the Nevada Conservation League, testifying in strong support of SB 442. This bill is an important step to increasing transparency, and additionally, this would help health departments, the legislature, and non-governmental organizations identify those at highest risk from disconnection and connect them with resources to avert further shutoffs. For these reasons, we urge your support. Thank you. Good afternoon. My name is Paulette Henriade, P-A-U-L-E-T-T-E, Henriade, H-E-N-R-I-O-D, representing Mormon Women for Ethical Government Nevada, or MWEG. MWEG is a grassroots organization that is concerned about the health and economic impacts of energy availability and affordability on individuals and families in our state. Publicly accessible data will allow better understanding of where disconnections are occurring. We fully support SB 442, and due to time, we'll echo what others are saying in support. Thank you. Hello, Chair Watts, Vice Chair Carter, and members of the committee. My name is Julia Hubbard, Julia Hubbard, for the record. and I'm with Solar United Neighbors Action. We help people go solar, but we also believe in a fair energy system where customers are educated and protected and utilities are held accountable. We represent the needs and interests of almost 125,000 solar owners. As you've heard, SB 442 is about transparency. This disconnection data should be available so we can use it to focus on preventative solutions. California, North Carolina, Michigan, Illinois, Missouri, Georgia, and Hawaii all require utilities to report disconnection. Nevada should join the ranks. As an organization that believes in building an equitable energy system, we strongly support this bill and urge you to do the same. Thank you for your time.
Chair, there are no additional callers for support testimony.
Thank you. It looks like we have anyone wishing to provide opposition testimony, please come forward. Seeing nobody, AVH, can we please check the phones?
Chair, there are no callers for opposition testimony.
Thank you. We'll now move to testimony in neutral on Senate Bill 442. Whenever you're ready, please proceed.
Good afternoon, Chair Watts and members of the committee. My name is Dylan Keith. I am the Senior Manager of Government Affairs over at Southwest Gas. It is actually a large point of privilege for us that we only disconnect 5% of those who are eligible for disconnection at Southwest Gas. We are very fortunate to have very giving customers that contribute to our Energy Share program, which basically they are able to give a little bit more on their bill, and we're able to use those funds and partner with great organizations like Help of Southern Nevada, ULAN, as well as FISH in Northern Nevada to provide customers with the assistance they need. As we are looking at customers and their possible disconnection, we are also reaching out to them, letting them know about our deferred payment programs. And just for your information, these are folks that we have not heard from at all. We have reached out to them with 2 letters, a phone call. They owe either more than $500 and their disconnection would be in about 60 days, or if it's under $500, that would be within 90 days, and we have heard nothing from them. And again, that's only 5% of those who are eligible get disconnected. So we're actually very proud to be able to service and assist the community because that is the people we serve. And that's why we're in neutral today. Thank you.
Chair Watts, members of the committee, my name is Anthony Ruiz, today representing MB Energy. I'm testifying in the neutral capacity on Senate Bill 442. I would like to just echo and say that we share the goal of keeping our customers connected and support data-informed approaches to assist those who are at most risk facing disconnection. We do make every effort to ensure that customers are connected to assistance programs and payment plans so they could avoid disconnection. Some information I shared in another house and I think is important and relevant here is through Project Reach and SAFE, we provided over $2.8 million in direct assistance to customers over the last 3 years, funded by our shareholders, and we've helped thousands of customers managing their energy bills. And in addition, we've also proposed a new low-income rate in our general rate review that would waive the basic service charge for qualifying customers in Southern Nevada. Qualifying customers would save approximately $240 annually if that were to be approved. Just a couple very quick things. There was the point raised about rising disconnections, and I think there's some context that was useful to this. Some of the data that was provided includes information about shutoffs in 2020 and 2021, and you see that spike, and that's because the figures cited were during the COVID era where we did little to no disconnections to our customers. And it's my understanding that data also only includes flex pay, so it is difficult to draw conclusions based upon that. But I think that's important to also add to the record. In that quality of service report that is published every April, we do have some disconnection data that was referenced, including zip code, customer class data, and reconnection data, as well as customer service metrics that's already publicly available online and that we file. And it helps provide some of the broader picture. And so, just in closing, I'll just add, while the bill aims to provide some understanding of who's being disconnected, I'd also offer there are some existing tools as well that we would utilize and encourage others to utilize, such as to correlate current disconnection data with publicly available data, such as census data, income tracks, things of that sort. And one more thing, Chair, I apologize because this is our late breaking news we had from last night. We've been in direct contact with LIHEAP, as was mentioned, as well. We found out last night that they're releasing over $400 million in the block grant funds for LIHEAP program for fiscal year 2025. And at this point, they have told us that those funds should not be in jeopardy in terms of being administered at the state level. And that's information we had as of last night. But we're obviously going to continue to be in touch with them, and we think that's very welcome news certainly for the customers. So appreciate the time, happy to answer any questions, and appreciate the opportunity to provide some context, Mr. Chair.
Thank you for that, Mr. Ruiz. It's definitely good to hear. I know there's been a lot of concern about the potential federal freezing or withholding of those funds. Hopefully there will not be any other hurdles or delays in being able to get those delivered to our constituents. I am still not very optimistic, given that many of the folks that were administering that program were fired, but it is good to hear that there is some positive movement when it comes to the federal LIHEAP program. I just had one follow-up question. So you mentioned towards the end of your testimony, essentially cross-referencing the data that you already provide with other census data. Who were you, is that something that you were thinking of doing as the utility, or was that something that you envisioned some other entity doing?
Anthony Ruiz, for the record. I think there's different ways to do that. I mentioned every April we publish that quality of service report that shows a glimpse, I'll say. It's not as broad as this bill is requesting, but there are some data in that. And so we do have some disconnection data currently available on zip codes. What could be done is to take that information and compare that with census tract information and say, okay, here are the lower income zip codes that exist. And I think that would give a very strong indication of where the income is where assistance is most great. In addition, we do partner with a lot of nonprofit and other organizations currently. We're welcome to partner and work with anyone on this type of topic. We hold community resource fairs now in communities that we know need it most. And so it would be a combination of factors, but I hope that helps clarify.
It somewhat does. So it sounds like that's something that you're offering to do. So we would love to get that as a follow-up from you. Thank you.
Sure. Happy to do it.
Okay. Any other questions? Seeing none. Thank you very much. Seeing no one else coming forward, AVH, would anyone else like to provide neutral testimony on SB 442 by phone?
Chair, we have no additional callers for neutral testimony.
All right. With that, I am going to go ahead and close the hearing on SB 442. Thank you very much. We'll let you get to Senate Judiciary. It looks like we have one of our members headed that way too. And I will now open the hearing on Senate Bill 315, which authorizes the Department of Transportation to enter into a progressive design-build contract for a certain project. Welcome back to the Committee on Growth and Infrastructure, Senator Daly. Please go ahead whenever you're ready.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. My name is Skip Daly, representing Senate District 13 for the record. Here to present Senate Bill 315. So Senate Bill 315 allows NDOT to use a one-time new procurement procedure known as progressive design build. As many of you may know, there are currently 3 procurement procedures allowed. One is the traditional design bid build. Second is design build, and the third is construction manager at risk, currently allowed. Progressive design build is a combination process with elements of design build and construction manager at risk. And as many of you may know, I am not a big fan of CMAR, construction manager at risk, so normally I would not support a process that has elements of CMAR. In this case, however, for this particular project, where the state has received a grant from the federal government to widen I-80 between Vista Boulevard in Sparks and USA Parkway in Story County, and in the current environment, there's a risk. I think it's small, but there's a risk the grant could be withdrawn unless the funds are allocated beforehand. So I want to make sure we do everything we can to make sure this project moves forward. It's a very important project for Northern Nevada. If any of you've ever been in that section between Sparks and USA Parkway, any little hiccup and you're there for an hour, two, sometimes longer. So it is an important project for Northern Nevada. So I agreed to introduce this bill because despite my concerns on the inherent CMAR elements under this process, I believe that this procurement process will be beneficial to the swift advancement of this particular project. Again, the circumstances surrounding this project, I believe, are unique and unlikely to reoccur. That is why this bill is drafted as a special act. So it will not appear in NRS, even though all of the text in the bill is in black ink, all of the language is new. So I have here with me today Craig Mandel with the AGC and Pedro Rodriguez from DOT to help with any questions from the committee. So I'll quickly walk through the bill. So sections 2 through 7 define certain terms referenced in the bill. Section 8 describes the one and only project that NDOT will be authorized to use the progressive design build procurement on that I-80 widening between Sparks and USA Parkway. Section 9 specifies the advertisement requirements and information that must be included in the advertisement. Section 10 allows DOT to use either a one-step or two-step selection procedure and a list of factors that will be used to rank the applicants. Section 7 allows NDOT after selection and after the pre-construction and design to begin negotiations with the selected contractor for a guaranteed maximum price, sounding similar to CMAR. Section 11 also allows NDOT, if they cannot reach an agreement on the guaranteed maximum price, NDOT can switch to another contractor that submitted a proposal or put the project out to bid. Section 12 makes clear that Nevada prevailing wage laws apply and specifies the maximum amount NDOT will pay for procurement services and requires the selected contractor to self-perform at least 30% of the work. Section 12.5 was new language that was added. It was requested by the contracting with design professionals, basically the engineers. It's standard language that exists in other areas and procurement processes that was just imported into this section for this project. Section 13 has the standard language regarding confidentiality of certain information. Once a contractor is selected, most of the information submitted by that contractor becomes public. Trade secrets and some financial information remains confidential. Section 14 is standard language regarding the possible use of an architect as a consultant or as may be necessary for any structures associated with the project. And then section 15 is the effective date, July 1, 2025. And with that, we would be happy to answer any questions about this procurement process, the project, what stages we're currently in, that guy down at the end. But we'll be happy to answer any questions.
All right, thank you. That concludes the presentation. We appreciate the succinct presentation of this very progressive bill. Members, any questions? No? All right, seeing none. Well done. We will now move to testimony. We'll start with testimony in support of Senate Bill 315. Anyone wishing to provide testimony in support, please come forward. And you can begin whenever you're ready.
Eloy Hara for the record. Good afternoon, Chair Watts and members of the committee. So I represent Labor's Local 169 in Reno, Nevada, and we're strongly in support of the bill. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Andy Donahue, Labor Employers Cooperation and Education Trust. Here to support the bill. It's not exactly in my area of the state, however, it's a fine project for the entire state, and I think that's a great paradigm for many opportunities like this one.
Dan Eccles with Q&D Construction. Keep it short and sweet. We strongly support this bill. Thank you.
Chair and members of the committee, Jessica Ferrato here today on behalf of Granite Construction. We're very much supporting the bill and have used this method in other states, and it's been successful. This is a very targeted bill specific to a project in Northern Nevada. Will bring a lot of federal funds to the state and urge your support. Thank you.
Chair, members of the committee, good afternoon. My name is Chris Koenig. I'm with Kiewit. We're an engineering and construction firm, work with DOTs all around the country. We have recently delivered NDOT's two largest and complicated projects in Project Neon and I-15 at Tropicana currently. We have extensive experience all around the country with progressive design build. We delivered our first progressive design build project in 2006. NDOT has done a great job of researching and collaborating with other DOTs that have been using progressive design build. They've been fully transparent with the industry. We've been meeting for over a year talking about their intent and how and why they want to use this delivery method. We are strong supporters of progressive design build in general, and even more strong for this project in particular.
Good afternoon. My name is Dylan Gallagher, representing Operating Engineers, Northern Nevada. We are in strong support of this SB 315.
All right, thank you very much. Seeing no one else coming forward, seeing no one in Las Vegas, we can skip them. AVH, would anyone like to provide testimony in support of SB 315 by phone?
Chair, there are no callers on the line for support testimony.
All right, we'll move to testimony in opposition of SB 315. Anyone wishing to provide opposition testimony, please come forward. Seeing nobody, AVH, can we check the phone lines?
Chair, there's still no callers for opposition testimony.
All right, we'll now move to testimony in neutral on Senate Bill 315. We have a taker. Please go ahead whenever you're ready.
Good afternoon, Chair Watts and members of the committee. For the record, Pedro Rodriguez, Pedrorodriguez, the Assistant Chief of Project Management for the Nevada Department of Transportation. Firstly, thank you to the sponsor of SB 315, Senator Daley, for involving NDOT in the discussions throughout the evolution of this bill. NDOT believes a pilot project involving progressive design build may help garner additional data on this design and construction method. We believe this bill may create efficiencies in the overall project delivery process and help streamline the construction of the I-80 widening project east of Sparks. This project is one of NDOT's top priorities to deliver to the rapidly growing community. Progressive design build has been implemented in other states, and NDOT has studied this alternative design delivery over the past year and believes it to be an effective way to deliver this highly complex project. We consider this bill to be revenue neutral. Thank you for your time this afternoon, and again to Senator Daley.
Thank you very much. Seeing nobody else coming forward, AVH, would anyone like to provide neutral testimony on SB 315 by phone?
We have no callers for neutral testimony.
All right, with that, I'm going to close this hearing. Oh, all right. All right. We don't get to see you very much here, Senator, so I'll let you make some closing remarks.
Skip Daly for the record. A little bit of levity, Mr. Chair. So being able to read the room here, anything further for the lawyers in the room, I sayeth not. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. And again, we will make sure that it is well recorded in our minutes that Senator Daley and AGC supporting this progressive bill. So thank you all. We'll close the hearing on SB 315. We'll open the hearing on Senate Bill 416, which revises provisions relating to the statewide sobriety and drug monitoring program. I see we have folks joining us both here in Carson City and down in Las Vegas. So whoever would like to kick off the presentation, please go ahead whenever you're ready.
Thank you, Chair Watts, Vice Chair Carter, and members of the Assembly Growth and Infrastructure Committee. Good afternoon. My name is Andrew Bennett, ANDREWBENNETT, and I have the privilege of presenting before you today exclusively in my capacity as Chair of the Nevada Advisory Committee on Traffic Safety. Here with me today, we have Judge Pearson, who will be filling us in on the importance of this program and the language in the bill. In 2021, NVACS was formally established in statute under NRS 408.581, bringing together 20 agency members from across the state, including this committee is represented by Assembly Member Brown May, to provide coordinated leadership, data-driven recommendations, and statewide accountability for advancing traffic safety priorities, including programs like the 24/7 Sobriety Initiative. SB 416 originates from the Joint Interim Standing Committee on Growth and Infrastructure at the request of NVACS. I'm pleased to present SB 416, which revises provisions related to the 24/7 Sobriety and Drug Monitoring Program. Before I pass it over to Judge Pearson, some background on this program. In Assembly Bill 316, sponsored by Assemblywoman Tolles and passed by the legislature in 2019, established the Nevada 24/7 Sobriety and Drug Monitoring Program. The program requires participants, individuals who have been convicted of DUI offenses, to undergo frequent testing for alcohol or drug use and allow them to be eligible for a restricted driver's license if their license is suspended or revoked. This restricted license allows them to drive only to certain places like work or test sites. During the 2023-24 interim, NVAC submitted a recommendation to the Joint Interim Standing Committee on Growth and Infrastructure to a draft legislation to allow program participants to hold a driving privilege license while in compliance with the extensive requirements of this program. And so to explain further about the program and the importance of this legislation, I'd like to pass it over to Judge Pearson. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Chair and committee members. My name's Scott Pearson. I'm a judge at the Reno Justice Court. I want to thank you for your time taking up this important life-saving measure. I'm nearing the end of my 27th year handling impaired driving cases, and you can imagine the tragedies that I've seen. Brother kill brother, husband kill wife in impaired driving cases. And one of the most frustrating things is that in approximately 40% of those cases, they're repeat offenders. That means there's a judge somewhere that had an opportunity to intervene and save those lives. One of the most effective tools that a judge can use is the 24/7 program. The 24/7 program takes the science of behavior modification and applies it to these cases. So it results in effective testing and effective responses to that testing. Generally for alcohol, that means individuals are tested every day. The original program in South Dakota, started more than 20 years ago, was in person twice a day. Once in the morning before you went to work, once after work. They called it the blow and go system, $1 per test, and is incredibly effective. With COVID and technological advances, a lot of the testing is moved to remote. And we use a lot of remote testing. Basically, you earn the ability to test remotely. We even have watches now that are transdermal alcohol monitors. We have small little Bluetooth devices that are $2 a day, that same $1 per test, that people can excuse themselves at work or before they go to work or afterwards and provide that test so that it's convenient. But what we also know about our high-risk impaired drivers is approximately half of them use other substances other than alcohol. So they're using other controlled substances. And unfortunately, our current technology with the ignition interlock devices, that doesn't test for drugs. And so half of your high-risk impaired drivers are not effectively being tested. The other thing that 24/7 gives us is immediate response. And so for those high-risk offenders, that's incredibly important for that behavior modification. Again, I've been married to a school teacher for 27 years, and she wouldn't address something with a student 3 months after it occurred and hope to have a positive change in that person's behavior. With our current ignition interlock, that's our situation in most of the cases. It's a device that records the result, and then every 90 days you have to download it at a car stereo place or somewhere. And so not terribly effective for high-risk individuals in changing that behavior. And that's why we know high-risk individuals go back to the same behavior they were engaged in before once that ignition interlock is taken off, because we haven't changed that behavior with them. So we respond quickly with regards to positive tests. The old system, again, 20-something years ago in South Dakota, it was incarceration. You showed up, you tested positive, you went to jail. Utah, when they did it, they had a staggered jail, 6 hours, 8 hours, 10 hours. Of course, what we learned is that when someone's suffering from a substance use disorder, you cannot incarcerate yourself out of that problem. And so a lot of courts are, of course, moved to treatment as a response to somebody who doesn't have the tools to obtain and maintain sobriety. And so that is often our response, but we're able to do it within hours, not within months, and assist those individuals. And, you know, if you're working on anything, whether it's your weight, your blood pressure, or anything else, you got to step on the scale or get your blood tested or check your blood pressure. That's the only way you know. So it's that structure and support, they go hand in hand, the treatment and the effective testing. For those drug offenders, the effective testing has to be 2 out of every 7 days completely random, or 3 set days per week. We know from the best practices. So that's what we put in place. As it was mentioned, the reason we're back before you, those were all the reasons this body enacted the bill. I will take responsibility for the language that was in there that we're back here to address, because I was involved in it. And it was my fault originally that all we had for a driver's license when you got a DUI was a restricted license. That's was my recollection. That used to be the law. And a restricted license meant, yes, you could just go to work and some pre-planned engagements. Unfortunately, what that means is that you cannot take your children to school. You cannot take your children to doctor's appointments under the current law. And heck, you can't take yourself to the emergency room because it's not a pre-planned doctor's appointment that you have the approval for. And so that's unworkable. We know that 70% of impaired drivers drive while their license is revoked. Why? Because they have to. Because they can't hop on the subway and take their kids to an event, a doctor's appointment, or something else. So the ignition interlock actually is called a privilege. When you have it installed, you can drive anywhere you want. All we're asking for with this bill is do the same thing for 24/7. Allow these individuals, if they're proving that they're clean and sober, they made a very poor decision to drive under the influence. But we don't need to ruin their lives, and we need to be able to allow them to keep their jobs, take their children where they need to go, but prove every day that they're clean and sober in order to have that benefit. And this law simply says there's 2 different ways to get your license back when you have a DUI. One is the ignition interlock privilege, the other is the 24/7 privilege. That's all this bill asks you to do so that we can make sure that these individuals that are participating in the 24/7 program receive the same benefit that individuals on the ignition interlock, but they get the additional benefits of the positive behavior change in their life. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you, Chair. And with that, we're happy to, at the privilege of the chair, walk through the specifics of the bill or go straight to questions.
You know what? I think we will go ahead and just jump straight to questions if that's okay with you, Mr. Medett.
Absolutely, Chair. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Thank you very much for the presentation and for your remarks, Judge. Members, any questions for the presenters? Further proof of a job well done. Thank you very much. Thank you. We'll now move to testimony. We'll begin with testimony in support of Senate Bill 416. If anyone would like to provide testimony in support, please come forward. Seeing nobody at this time, AVH, would anyone like to provide support testimony by phone?
Chair, the public lines are open and working. We have no callers for support testimony at this time.
Thank you. We'll now move to testimony in opposition of Senate Bill 416. Seeing nobody coming forward, AVH, can we go back to the phones?
Chair, we have no callers for opposition at this time.
All right, and Mr. Sever's already up, so we'll go to testimony in neutral on Senate Bill 416.
Good afternoon, Chair and committee members. Sean Sever from the Nevada DMV. I'm also a proud member of the NVX Traffic Safety Committee. We are neutral on AB 296, but I really like this bill personally. We have a fiscal note on it. but that was zeroed out by the amendment that changed the implementation date, so we didn't have to program this into our old IT system. We appreciate that, and the bill sponsors working with us on it. Thanks.
All right, thank you very much. A lot of people looking forward to continued progress with that new system. Seeing nobody else coming forward, AVH, would anyone like to provide neutral testimony on SB 416 by phone?
Chair, we have no callers for neutral.
All right, with that, I will close the hearing on Senate Bill 416. That takes us to the last item on our agenda for today, and that is public comment. If anyone would like to make public comment, either in Carson City or Las Vegas, please come forward. Seeing nobody coming forward, AVH, can we check the phone lines one last time?
Chair, the public lines are open and working. We have no callers for public comment.
All right, that concludes our business for the day. Thank you very much, members. Our next meeting will be on Tuesday, May 6th, 2025. Thank you very much. This meeting's adjourned.